Chlorophyll we call the lifeblood of plants. It's green. It's virtually identical to the human red blood cell, and most people don't realize that because the human red blood cell is what builds us. It literally, the blood cell turns into all the cells that make up all the organs in our body. So literally, the quality of your body is literally the quality of your blood. So what builds healthy blood? Well, it's chlorophyll. Chlorophyll looks virtually identical to the red blood cell, except the red blood cell has iron in the middle. Chlorophyll has magnesium in the middle. Apart from that, if you look at it, virtually identical, which means it's what builds blood. In fact, many places in the world push it as an alternative to blood transfusions. It's very, very, very important. But perhaps what's more important than that is how do we get it into our body? Because we can't eat enough greens to get it. Unless you're juicing liters or gallons of things a day, you need to get it from somewhere. So the way that we get it into you is through literally liquid chlorophyll. In fact, I can remember the father of American iridology called Dr. Bernard Jensen discussing how before they found a way to extract chlorophyll from plants, they literally, in fact, your grandmother might have done it. They get greens, leeks, spinach, you know, even things that weren't so, turnips, everything, silver beet, and they boil it in a pot, and you drink what you boiled. It's very similar to the way they used to extract herbs and still do in many parts of the world. So chlorophyll, if you're going to put one substance in your body after oxygen and after water, this would be it. So ideally, we'd eat a huge percentage of our diet green food, but this is a way to supplement with it at an amazing level. But perhaps more importantly than that, the pH of chlorophyll is normally around about 9.5 to 11. Now, pH is really important because pH works on what we call a logarithmic scale. Now, this means that we measure it in increments of 1. So if you can kind of picture this in your mind, it's a scale that goes from 0 to 14. 7 is neutral. Now, anything below 7, if you can picture it from 7 to 0, that's acid. Now, anything above 7 to 14 is what we call alkaline. Now, in natural health, you may have heard people say, we want you to be alkaline, less acid. In fact, so important. 1931, Dr. Otto Warburg won a Nobel Prize for discovering that cancer can only grow in an acid environment low in oxygen, which means we want to get you abundant in oxygen, which is probably the most important nutrient on Earth. You can't live without oxygen for more than a few minutes. Water for weeks, food for months, oxygen a few minutes, that's it. Now, your red blood cells or your blood carries oxygen around the body. Why having good quality, high amount of red blood cells at a healthy level is very, very, very important. So chlorophyll, we could think of it as being very oxygen rich, builds the blood, builds the body. Now, with a pH above 7, it's alkaline. When we go to a pH of 8, bear with me if you can picture it, it's about 10 times more alkaline than 7, right? When we go from 8 to 9, it's about 100 times more alkaline than 7. We just add a 0. In fact, I'll put a picture on the website near this so you can do it. When we go to a pH of 10, it's 1,000 times more alkaline than 7. And 11, 10,000 times more alkaline than 7. So say we get chlorophyll, say it's got a pH of 11, hypothetically. It's 10,000 times more alkaline than, say, neutral water, which has a pH of 7. What does that mean? What is alkaline? Why is that so fancy? Well, alkaline is really the study of electrons. How much electrons is in something? Now, in natural health, we've always believed something totally different than traditional medical science. Traditional medical science says the body runs on glucose, it runs on sugar. No, we think that's all BS in natural health. In natural health, we say that glucose is an acidic waste product of cells metabolizing, but you do not want to supplement with sugar. In fact, there's been a lot of famous books written about it. One's called Diet, Crime and Delinquency. Very, very famous book about these delinquent adolescents who were eating large amounts of sugar that have donuts for breakfast and something else for lunch. And you can imagine their behaviour was out of control. Now, I'm not saying sugar's the only thing that leads to behaviour being out of control, but in natural health, we've always considered it virtually the number one poison. Totally different to what medicals. We don't want our children having little, chocolate Easter eggs before their exams at school to give them a glucose boost. We've always thought then, in contrary, the body runs on electricity. Electrons. That's what you may have heard alkaline batteries last longer. So electricity, how do we get it? Well, when something is alkaline, it is saturated with electrons. In fact, we sometimes call them negative ions, and I won't get too technical on you, but ions in chemistry is just a word for an atom that has a charge. So it's either positive or negative. Alright, so if it's positive, it's called an ion. If it's negative, it's called an ion. One's actually called a cation and one's called an anion, but I won't get into too much detail here. But we want something saturated with electricity, electrons, energy. Think electricity equals energy, so think alkaline equals energy. Alkaline equals electrons, energy. So when something has a pH of 11, for instance, as a lot of chlorophyll does on the market, normally about 9.5 to 11, say hypothetically it's 11, it is 10,000 times more saturated with electrons than just neutral water. We're talking amazing amount of energy, baby. So chlorophyll being the lifeblood of plants, most important thing that you can put into your body after oxygen and water.